I have been a mom for almost 3 years, and before I had Lowen, I didn't realize that the biggest lesson that I would learn over and over again was like how to truly trust myself. Um, Motherhood can feel all consuming, and it's beautiful, and it's lonely, and it can be isolating, especially as a stay-at-home mom. It has felt like all of those things to me. It's like the biggest blessing, but it can feel really lonely. Um, so I just wanted to share a little bit about my journey. Um, my daughter will be 3 in September. I had a fairly easy pregnancy. We took like a be prepared class before she was born. But all I really knew, like the whole 9 months leading up to her birth, was that I did not want to have a forceps delivery. I was born with forceps, and I just had like a lot of facial trauma, and that just scared me. Like I just didn't want that to happen. Something hard that happened. The day before Lowen was born, my grandmother, who I was really close with, passed away. And even though it's been over 2.5 years, like I don't think I'll ever be over that. I don't think I will ever not feel angry that she didn't get to meet Lowen here on this physical earth. I will always feel deeply sad that I was grieving during those first moments of motherhood, and that I had no idea how to hold both of those things at the same time. I just don't know how I could get over it. I might not be angry forever, but I'm still really angry today. Yeah. So anyways, I delivered at 40 weeks and 2 days. When I got to the hospital, labor slowed way down, which is normal. So I did have them bring my water to get things going, and that really helped. Like once we were like labor intensified, I was so tense that I stopped progressing. So I did end up getting the epidural, and then things really got moving after that. Her heart rate did start dipping, and I had to keep changing positions. Our nurse was phenomenal. And when it came down to the time and she finally like needed to be born, like her heart rate was decelerating. The doctor did give me the option of using the vacuum or using forceps. It all happened so fast. I just remember asking, like, what are you more comfortable with doing? Like, what have you done more of? And of course, her answer was forceps. So she did end up having to use forceps to get her out. But at that point, I didn't really care how she got here. I just wanted her to be okay, and I just wanted her to be here. Honestly, my pelvic floor was wrecked. I had a significant tear, and I'm still working through some of that. I've done a lot of pelvic floor PT and strength training, and it's definitely improved. But it took me a long time to reconnect with my body, and it's a work in progress. But anyways, we had this baby. This perfect, tiny, sweet little honey. Oh, she was like the sweetest little baby. And she was just perfect. And She had so much hair. It was so, like, not what I expected. And Grant and I were just so out of our element. Like, I didn't even know how to burp a baby. Um, and my mom stayed with us for 2 weeks before heading back home. And then a couple days after that, Grant had to go back to work. And I felt alone. I was with this sweet baby, and I didn't know what I was doing. I started getting migraines. I would get like tunnel vision. Just wasn't getting a lot of sleep. My anxiety ramped up so much. I just genuinely felt like I can't do this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And my like social media algorithms were just filled with garbage. They were filled with really stressful, heartbreaking child loss stories, and SIDS stories, and just like everything my brain was so terrified of, I was constantly seeing. And it was all I was thinking about. I was terrified. I didn't really let anyone come over and see her for the first couple of months. I just was so scared that she would get sick and that something would happen. And so we lived in a bubble. I remember one of my close friends saying, I thought you would be more chill. And I remember thinking like, yeah, me too. But like, postpartum anxiety has this way of convincing you that if you're not hypervigilant, if you're not always 3 or 4 steps ahead, then something horrible is going to happen. And I couldn't let anything horrible happen. If I could do something to try to prevent it, like I needed to. And so again, I was like more isolated. It was like a big deal if I took the dog out for a walk and I like wore her around the neighborhood. I don't know, looking back at that time, I feel a lot of compassion for myself because I was just so scared. And I needed help. I needed support. And I really wish I would have let people help me. Around 3 months, 4 months, she developed really bad reflux, and she wouldn't sleep in her bassinet. Like, there was no sleep happening. And out of desperation, I started researching like how to safely co-sleep. Like, she would only sleep on my chest, or Grant's chest, and I needed sleep. The only thing that would help with the migraines was sleep, and I just needed to sleep. So chest sleeping saved me. Eventually we transitioned to the cuddle curl, and we've been co-sleeping ever since. It has worked for us. It doesn't work for everyone, but it has worked for us. She also ended up having like a really bad dairy intolerance. And since I was exclusively breastfeeding, the doctor recommended that I like cut out all of the top 8 allergens. And I was like hangry all the time. And around that same time, when all of that kind of stuff is happening, they always recommend to go see like a lactation consultant to make sure that it's not the latch or whatever. And so I was seeing a lactation consultant, and she became very concerned about her lip tie and her tongue tie. I didn't experience any pain, or she wasn't like dribbling or anything, but she just wasn't sleeping. She was gaining weight. And so I got a couple more opinions. I think I got like 2 or 3 additional opinions on her tongue tie and her lip tie. And ultimately we decided not to do the revision. To be honest, I'm glad that we didn't. I'm glad that we trusted our gut because she's still nursing. Her speech is great. Her teeth are good. And I feel like that was like the first big parenting decision that I realized I didn't have to make choices from a place of fear. I did feel a lot of pressure from that lactation consultant, like you're heading towards like a slippery slope, like this could end your breastfeeding journey. And she scared me. And I think making that decision felt very much like, oh, I don't have to parent from a place of fear. And co-sleeping was another decision that I felt like I didn't have to make from fear if I was educated. But at first I thought it was totally wrong. I felt like it wasn't safe. The internet told me it was definitely not safe. My friends and family definitely didn't recommend it. I had a lot of like recommendations on sleep training. I had a lot of people saying just let her cry. She has to learn, like it's just part of it. But I just couldn't do it. Like I bought so many books and I bought so many online programs and I read all of them and I tried. And if she would cry, I couldn't leave her in the room alone. I couldn't just like stand by and watch her feel so upset. Like I couldn't do it. And yeah, so we still co-sleep today. We have a queen size bed in her bedroom and I put her to sleep and then I roll away and Grant and I get to hang out for a couple hours. And then I go back in and sleep with her. I love it. It works. Lately, she has started like kicking and rolling everywhere, so I don't know how much longer it will work. But I do love being close to her. The anxiety does still linger. Like I definitely still check and make sure she's breathing sometimes. But I have gotten so much more sleep and it has just worked for our family. I will acknowledge that like there was a hard period for Grant and I to figure out how we could reconnect while co-sleeping. So I want to acknowledge that. I don't want to just like glaze over that because she was in our bed co-sleeping and then we did the floor bed in her room. And so like there was definitely challenges with co-sleeping. It's not like this has worked for our family and it's worked perfectly. Like we had to figure out when we would take the time to reconnect. And some nights I fall asleep with her in there and we don't connect and it's not perfect. But it's working right now until she kicks me more in the face and I don't get any sleep because I do have to get sleep. We also potty trained about a month ago. I stayed home for like 2 solid weeks, which I'm like a homebody, so like that worked for me. And we just kind of let it happen. She was definitely ready. She like got her potty and like sat on it and peed in the potty and we were like, okay, I guess we're potty training. It was a lot more chill than I expected. It was definitely not the like potty train in 3 days vibe. I don't really buy that. I'm sure it works great for some people, I'm sure it works great for some, but not me. I think everyone is so different. Yeah. And I think it just like, you have to like figure out what works for you and what works for your kid. For me, like staying home and having no pressure to like go to the park or go see friends or whatever, like that worked for me. one thing about potty training that I was not expecting was how disgusting tiny potty poops are. I had gotten so, and this also might not be for everyone, but it was for me. Like, I had gotten so used to diaper poops, I was like fine with it. I was not prepared, and I hate it so much. So yeah, anyways, so if no one's warned you about that, it's gross. We're also in the middle of weaning, so that's been big. I'm very emotional about it. She's doing pretty well. Really, she's doing amazing considering like this is big, but I am really struggling. Boundaries for me are feeling like a loss of connection. So I'm working through that. And I hate seeing her sad. I hate seeing her sad. And this is like our biggest point of connection for the last almost 3 years. It's the biggest part of our relationship. And I don't know. It's really hard. So I'll keep you guys updated about that. She starts preschool in August, and you know, it's only 2 days a week, but I am nervous and excited. I'm proud of her. I'm so sad. It's like literally 6-7 hours a week, and I'm like, this time is coming to an end where it's just her and I every single day. And I think she's ready. I think I'm ready, but I'm also not ready at all. Yeah. Towards the end of this year, we are hoping to start trying for another baby. And even saying that makes me feel like I could just tear up right now, because I'm already grieving this season. I think the preschool is making it feel big, but thinking about having a second baby just makes me feel so sad about this time with Lowen. You know, it has been hard to adjust. And you know, I have had really anxious moments, and I just hope that she adjusts really well to that change. I know she adjusts so well to so many different changes, but I'm nervous. I hope she knows how deeply loved she is. You know, I hope that I'm not so anxious, that I'm able to like show her how deeply loved she is and how much we care. And I hope we can do it gracefully, you know. I'm also really scared of postpartum again. Yeah. Even though, honestly, still breastfeeding, like, it doesn't really feel like I've finished postpartum, to be honest. It feels like I'm still in it. I think maybe the teariness and all of the sadness that I've been feeling lately is probably because I'm weaning. And I'm doing it fairly quickly because I'm just ready. So, yeah. I think, you know, I want everything to be perfect. We just bought a little bit bigger of a house so that we can accommodate like our family growing and our family coming to help us with this new baby and support us and support Lowen. And, you know, part of me wants to try to plan as much as I possibly can. Like, how can I learn from the last 2.5 years and like do it right before I get pregnant and before we even try to conceive? How can I, you know, do it all perfectly? But I have to remind myself that like perfect isn't real. You know, the anxiety is still here. I've been thinking lately, I'm not sure if it really ever goes away. But I feel like I'm learning to trust myself more and more. I am learning to let her become who she's becoming. And I'm letting myself become the mom that I want to be in the midst of it all. Like, it's all happening all at the same time. I really feel like I stopped trying to be the perfect mom, and I'm just focused on being her mom. And I think that all of these little like milestones over the last 2.5 years have really shown me that that is what's important, is being her mom, not being the perfect mom, not doing what everyone else is doing, not asking what everyone else is doing, and just being her mom. And I think that's what we're all trying to figure out. And I think that's what we're all trying to do, is just be our kids' moms the best we can. So yeah, I guess if you're in the thick of motherhood right now, I just hope that you know that you're not alone. I feel like our stories are often like shared in this perfect, curated, polished light. And even the messy ones, like, still you're like, oh, wow, totally real. And I just think that sometimes that can feel even more isolating, because you're like, oh, well, like, my experience, that's not my experience. And so I guess I don't know. We're all doing this together. It just looks different for all of us. Like, it just looks different for each of us. And you're giving it your all, and it's enough, and it's beautiful. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Yeah.